She has spent over 14 hours on this single page. To anyone else, her work is a masterpiece, ready to launch. But to Ananya, it feels like an embarrassing failure. It isn't perfect yet. So instead of hitting publish, she closes the tab, shuts her laptop, and buries her face in her hands. Ananya isn't suffering from a lack of talent or drive. She is trapped in a brutal, invisible mental cage. Perfectionism paralysis. It is a dangerous cognitive loop where your standard of excellence becomes a psychological weapon used to completely freeze your execution. Today, we decode the hidden neuroscience of the hypercritical brain, why flawless standards breed total inertia, and how to break the cycle of perfect procrastination. Part 1. The Mirage of the Flawless Identity. Ananya is a 28-year-old freelance brand strategist. She has an exceptional eye for detail, a deep portfolio, and a reputation among her friends as a brilliant perfectionist. She wears her perfectionism like a badge of honor, believing it's the secret engine behind her high standards. She has been planning to launch her personal consultancy website for over 9 months. Every evening follows an identical psychological script. Ananya sits down at her desk, fueled by ambition. She opens her website builder and starts working. But within 30 minutes, her internal critic wakes up. That headline sounds generic. That color palette doesn't perfectly convey executive trust. If you launch with this, people will think you're an amateur. Instantly, her chest tightens, her breathing becomes shallow, and she feels a heavy wave of cognitive fatigue. To escape the anxiety, she closes the website builder and spends the rest of the night organizing her digital color palettes instead. Ananya believes she is just being meticulous, but neurologically, she is caught in the vulnerability shield loop. In behavioral psychology, clinical perfectionism is rarely about excellence. It is a sophisticated emotional defense mechanism. Ananya's brain uses the pursuit of perfection as a shield to protect her self-esteem from the terrifying risk of real-world evaluation and criticism. Her primitive amygdala interprets public vulnerability, putting her unperfect work out there for strangers to judge, as a direct survival threat. Her brain plays a brilliant trick on her. It convinces her that staying invisible and editing the same page for 9 months is a sign of high professionalism, when it is actually a desperate survival strategy to avoid being seen, judged, and found wanting. Part 2. The all-or-nothing cognitive distortion. As the months roll on, Ananya's personal project stalls completely. Meanwhile, she watches her old colleague, a guy who works with loose, messy, average consistency, launch his agency and land 3 new clients. The contrast makes Ananya feel sick. She begins to experience a brutal cognitive distortion known as maladaptive evaluative concerns. Ananya operates on a binary psychological operating system, all or nothing thinking. If a project isn't an absolute, flawless 100 out of 100, her brain categorizes it as a flat 0. There is no middle ground. There is no room for learning curves or rough drafts. Because her brain treats a minor public flaw as an existential identity crisis, the psychological stakes of taking action become agonizingly high. The mental energy required to write a single social media post or publish a web page feels like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. To protect itself from this intense emotional strain, her brain defaults to productive procrastination. She researches more. She tweaks font sizes. She takes another advanced certification course. She tells herself, "I'm not slacking off. I'm just polishing the assets." She optimizes the architecture of a ship that she is too terrified to ever steer out of the harbor. Before we watch the exact moment, Ananya's perfect illusion falls apart, and she uses a ruthless behavioral trick to break the spell. Let's ensure your own talent isn't being strangled by your own high expectations. If you are tired of letting your inner critic run your career, and you're ready to turn your paralyzed potential into raw, consistent output, hit that subscribe button. We break down the true mechanics of behavioral psychology every single week so you can reclaim your execution. Now, let's look at the breaking point. Part 3, the ego depletion and the mirror. The realization arrived on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Ananya was on a consultation call with a prospective client who had stumbled onto her half-finished LinkedIn profile. The client loved her raw strategy notes, but asked a simple question. Can you send over the link to your official agency website so my board can review your full operations? Ananya panicked. Her mouth went dry. It's currently undergoing a major structural rebrand right now, she lied. I can send you a PDF slide deck instead. The client paused. Actually, don't worry about it. If your digital footprint isn't set up yet, we might need to go with an agency that is a bit more established. Thank you for your time. Ananya hung up the phone and sat in absolute silence. She felt a crushing wave of ego depletion. She looked at her beautiful, hidden, unpublished website template. She had spent hundreds of hours trying to make it perfect, so she would look highly credible. But the irony was devastating. Her obsession with looking perfect had made her look non-existent. She had fallen into the ultimate trap of perfectionism. It creates the exact failure it is trying to prevent. Part 4. The Ugly Drafting Protocol. How did Ananya save her career? She didn't lower her standards forever, but she instituted a radical behavioral constraint protocol called the Ugly Drafting Protocol. Step 1. She engineered a high-friction environment for her inner critic. Ananya realized that her primary addiction was the undo button. She forced herself to practice what psychologists call exposure and response prevention, ERP. She opened a plain, raw text editor that didn't allow layout styling. She set a timer for 30 minutes and forced herself to write the copy for her homepage without allowing her fingers to hit the backspace button once. If she made a typo, she had to leave it. She forced her brain to sit with the intense anxiety of an imperfect screen, systematically desensitizing her amygdala's fear response. Step 2. She implemented the 80% rule. She wrote a new law on a sticky note and taped it to her monitor. Done is vastly superior to perfect. 80% perfect out in the world will always beat 100% perfect inside a closed tab. She realized that the market doesn't reward the invisible elegance of an unlaunched draft. It rewards the iteration of a live product. Step 3. She celebrated the friction. Instead of waiting to feel satisfied with her work before publishing it, she changed her internal reward metric. She decided that feeling exposed, slightly embarrassed, and uncomfortable was a sign that she was actually doing real work. On a Thursday night, with her heart hammering in her throat, Ananya closed her eyes and hit the live publish button on her website. It wasn't perfect. A couple of image borders were slightly misaligned, and the About Me section felt a little raw to her. She held her breath, expecting an immediate wave of public mockery. But the mockery never came. In fact, nobody noticed the misaligned pixels. 2 days later, a local business owner filled out her contact form and booked a strategy consultation. The spell was completely broken. Ananya was no longer an invisible perfectionist. She was a practicing entrepreneur. The obsession with perfectionism is ultimately an act of profound arrogance, masquerading as humility. It is your ego believing that you are too special to make mistakes, too elite to be clumsy, and too precious to experience the messy, dirty learning curve of a normal human being. But the real world does not have a single perfect thing in it. Life is built out of rough drafts, flawed launches, and ugly executions that get adjusted along the way. Stop editing the same paragraph. Stop resizing the same logo. Stop using your high standards as an excuse to hide safely in the shadows of your own mind. Lower the stakes, embrace the flaws, and realize that a live, messy product will always change your life infinitely more than a hidden, perfect dream. Are you sitting on a project, an essay, or a business idea right now because it isn't ready yet? What is the one imperfect, 80% draft you are going to force out into the world today? Let's reveal our unperfect plans in the comments below. This is a judgment-free zone for execution. Give this video a like if you're ready to break the paralysis, and I'll see you in the next one.